Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Zemo, the dad in DPS, and today we are back with another top 5 video. I wonder what it's going to be. It's obviously going to be pistols. Now, we did have a video basically the same as this before. However, this was done a very long time ago, and the information in it is very out of date in comparison to today, because pistols have changed and we have more of them than we did before. Either way guys, don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and let's get on with the list. This is the build I'm using during this video. It's not optimized, don't take it too seriously, but this is what we're using so you can explain the damage. We will swap out the perk cards depending on whether it's automatic or not as well, so again, don't worry about that. So, number 5 on our list is the Crusader Pistol. Now, this is a very interesting pistol because it has the ability to have different elements on there. And the element that I'm currently using is fire. Now, this weapon can be used through stealth, it can be used outside of stealth. There's loads of different ways that you can use this weapon. It's very decent AP use, and it's something that you can use quite expertly in VATS. You can also use it outside of VATS quite easily because it is very easy to aim. And the upside of this weapon's continue in this form of that its ammo is only 10mm. So it's a very easy and very simple weapon to use. As long as you have the plans for this weapon, you will be able to use it without worrying about ammo, without worrying about anything. And it does have decent damage, as you can see against here. Now, here's where the downsides come in. Now, if you were to get explosive on this weapon and put an element on it, explosive fire damage will in fact actually damage you, so if you're using it close up, it can injure you as well. There is also the fact that this is what I would call a non-boss killer weapon. While you can use it against the bosses in the game, it's not going to take them down quickly. It will do damage, it will do decent damage, you will get, the damage in and you will contribute to the fight. But you're not going to be the one that's taking it down. I'm just wanting to curb people's expectations of these weapons. They are not the be-all and end-all. They are fun to use. I love pistols, but I'm well aware that they have their major downsides and need, quite frankly, a significant buff to make them viable and usable in all circumstances. But again, very easy to use, lots of ammo that you can get from it. I love this gun, it is one of my favourites. Now, the version of the gun we're using is Phasers Set to Fun. Armour penetration, critical damage, and weight reduction. This is probably one of my best rolls I've ever made for the Crusader Pistol, but at the same time, it is not quite what I want. I want that explosive in the middle because I am an explosive weapon junkie. So yeah, it is a very good version of this gun, and I would recommend using it if you get the chance. Number 4 on our list, and the second gun we're talking about today, is the Gauss Pistol. Now, this is a weapon that is incredibly strong in the single shot market of pistols. Now, you're seeing we've got 90% accuracy there, and we're still missing the goddamn shots. Now, this is the kind of problem with pistols, is what they make up for in, fun and fire rate, they definitely lose in accuracy. They're not like your rifles where they have quite good accuracy. So pistols, you need to get that little bit closer. You need to use them in that little bit of a more creative way, where you're sneaking up on things. And you're seeing we're missing, even with the freaking 90 odd accuracy, but it still randomly wants me to miss. And this is where the kind of main downside of this weapon is, because it doesn't have like a rapid fire rate. When you get on a missing streak, it can be incredibly annoying. But the upside is typically you're going to be one-shotting most enemies you point this damn thing at. Super mutants do not pose much of a threat against you, and because of the way it is made, you can also have it silenced, which again is where you can make up for a lot of your damage lost on the pistol side of things. And if I were using more stealthy perks, I'm fairly certain I could get more damage out of this. It's a very, very fun weapon, and it depends on how you play the game. Like, if you're like me, I quite like the charge and then the release. I like bows, I like different guns. So this is not for everybody. But when it comes to boss fights, now you're still going to be able to get your big damage and your big hits, but I do feel that it lacks the punch that some of the other weapons in the game has when it comes to that. So against bosses, yeah, again, you're going to be able to do some damage, you're able to get some hits in, but you aren't going to be topping the damage boards here. A fixer, a freaking Gauss minigun. Like most heavy weapons, most rifles outpace most pistols. It's an undeniable fact. So I'm just, again, trying to curb your expectations. This is a very fun gun. It's very good to use in general play, but it's not a boss killer just like the previous. And this is the gun that we're using, MG Rex, which is a bloodied VATS hit chance 1 agility version of this weapon. Now, even with the VATS hit chance, you were seeing there that I was missing more than I should have done. Like with a 5% chance to miss, it just seems to miss in random ways, and there's not really much to say about it. It is what it is. I love these weapons. I've not got my exact roll that I want. I want like VATS crit based stuff with anti-armor again, but it is a very fun weapon to use, and I would definitely recommend, if you want to play pistols, that this is something you add to your arsenal. Now, number 3 on our list, and maybe the most controversial pick on here, is the Gamma Gun. Now, out of all the pistols that we talk about today, I will say this possibly has the best and most powerful damage of all these guns. Like, if I let the trigger fly, anything I point this thing at will be absolutely incinerated and irradiated to hell. However, the gun does come with some major downsides. The first being that it chugs through AP like nothing else, and that it can essentially kill you. Now, the problem with the Gamma Gun is that it creates a radiation-like explosion, and if you're too close to it when you fire it, you will also die. And that is quite a big downside. But when you point this gun and just fire it, things explode. Like, literally things explode. And this is where it kind of deserves this spot, but also slightly doesn't, is that it will absolutely cream just about everything and anything you point this weapon at. Now, when it comes to bosses, it does similar incredible damage. It is just a very good, very powerful weapon, but it butt chugs ammo. So against the Scorch-Based Queen, against Earl, yes, this weapon is going to provide a huge amount of damage and in theory could be classified as a boss-killing weapon. But you will go through an absolute ton of ammo through it, to the point where it's just kind of not worth fighting against the big enemies because of the sheer amount of ammo you will waste and not get back. Now, there are some situations where, if against Earl, maybe the ads will give you enough ammo to deal with it. But I just feel like that's not going to be the case in most situations. Against most enemies in the game, yeah, you'll kill them and you'll be able to, you know, ammo economy isn't as much of a problem. But against the bosses, it just feels like you're just throwing ammo at them for the sake of not a lot of gain in comparison. And this is the version of the Gamma Gun we're using in the video, bringing the Meltdown with quad ammo capacity, weapon speed, and the chance to go invisible for 2 seconds when hitting targets. Now, this is a very good version of the weapon because it doesn't have a good clip size. As you can see, it breaks quite quickly as well, but the damage on it is just so ridiculous that it had to make it onto the list. You could argue that it should have been 4th or 5th, but at the same time, it is just, it's a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage on this gun. And if you get the right roll on it, it's just, yeah, it's freaking awesome. So we come to number 2 on our list, and that is the Plasma Pistol, and more specifically, the Enclave Plasma Pistol. Now, both of these guns are pretty much in this slot as far as I'm concerned, because both of them are almost identical, apart from the fact that the Enclave version is fundamentally better. And the reality is the Enclave pistol is just incredibly powerful and very good at killing enemies. You're seeing it here, we're absolutely mincing these. Now, I am using an automatic barrel on here, but the highest damage barrel on it is the flamer barrel. And that barrel makes this gun a god killer. Now, the problem with this gun in general is that if you have the regular version, the regular plasma pistol, you find mods for this weapon on like scrapping weapons, like you do with any other weapon in the game. But with the Enclave version, all the mods have to be purchased from either a vendor or found at the event dropped connection. And because of this, the weapon is very difficult to get the version that you want and where you need it. So as a result, it doesn't quite meet the criteria to be the top weapon. It's just very difficult to get, and to say that this is the best pistol that you should all be running is definitely true, but at the same time, are you going to be able to get a hold of it? Do you have the patience to get the mods for it? It is by far like the best damage. You get that flamer barrel on here and you are going to be able to mince enemies like they are made of tissue paper. It is going to destroy everything with great ease. But are you going to get the flamer barrel? And it's just a lot of effort, and it's worth it. Granted, the effort is worth it. You will kill bosses with this weapon, but do you have the patience to do it? Do you have the patience to find that flamer barrel? A lot of people won't, and that's why it's number 2 on the list instead of number 1. Now, unlike my usual weapons, this doesn't have a catchy name. It is an improperly modded and incomplete version of this weapon. Now, I will get a flamer barrel for this weapon. I will 100% get that at some point. But I don't have one to put on it right now, so I wasn't intending to, showcase this weapon at all. But the point is, it's incredibly powerful. It's gonna kill things really easily, and with that flamer barrel mod on there, it's going to mince bosses. It's just a very consistent weapon, and I would heavily recommend that if you have the time to find the mods for this, and you have the time to get an ideal version of this weapon, then I would recommend you do it. Its downsides are, it is very brittle, it will break, and it is awkward to find the stuff, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Now we come to the honourable mentions of this video. Now, when it comes to pistols, I don't think you can really talk about them without mentioning the Alien Blaster. Now, this weapon could have made it onto the list if it weren't for the fact that it's kinda disappointing when it comes to damage. It does have some other advantages though. With the freezing barrel, or the ice, whatever part of it, you are able to basically freeze enemies in place. This makes it really good as a support weapon during things like a Colossal Problem or Scorched Earth. And this is where the weapon is at its strongest. It is very good at basically freezing enemies in place and using it to help your team rather than to do insane amounts of damage. Now, tonight's top pick for pistols is going to be the 10mm pistol. Now, this is just an all-round great weapon. If you want to use it, you have very little difficulty finding the mods for it, you'll have very little difficulty finding ammo for it, and you'll have very little difficulty getting a decent one. It is just a very standard and great weapon. Its consistency is great, its fire rate is great, everything about this weapon just ticks all the boxes. Now, I will say it is not as powerful as the best Enclave pistol, but getting an Enclave pistol that is exactly right is going to be a mission for you. And if you want to use a pistol build, then this is a good place to start, because it is one of those weapons that a lot of people have lying around. It is just consistent, it is good, it works. It is pretty much up there with the damage though. There's certain assault rifles in the game that are comparative to this weapon. And that's what makes it so good, is that it can be compared to commando-based weapons. Now, when it comes to bosses, yeah, it's not going to match a fixer, it's not going to match a handmade, it's not going to match a railway rifle. But it's going to match some of the other assault rifles that you're using, such as like your radium rifle, your regular combat rifle. I'd say it's kind of close to that in terms of DPS. It's just a good weapon to use. And as a result, it is up there as a boss killer. It's not the best boss killer in the game, but then not many weapons can match the absolute best weapons in the game. So you can use this against bosses and you will take them down and you will kill them. Overall, it's just the best pistol. And until something takes its place, or they give the Crusader Pistol an automatic barrel, I don't think we're going to find anything that tops it in the charts anytime soon. And today's pistol is the Full Metal Jackass. Now this has quad ammo capacity, bullets explode for area damage, and VATS critical charge. Now when it comes to this, the 10mm, it just has great stats all around. It's a sturdy weapon, it has great AP usage, like you're only using 5 per shot, so you can spam the living crap out of it. And on top of that, it just does decent damage. Overall, one of the, if not the best pistols, depending on your perspective, in terms of both damage and everything. It just ticks all the boxes and deserves to be number one because it isn't just good damage, it's consistent, it is easy to acquire, it is just all round the best pistol. So that was today's video, guys. Now, if you did enjoy today's video, you can hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. If you have any thoughts on the list or what you would put in your number one slot, definitely leave them down in the comments below. I want to hear you guys' input on it. I love pistols, I absolutely do, but a lot of them just aren't up there with the rifles and heavy guns in the game. They can't deal the damage, but some of them definitely do, and some of them are capable of absolutely making it to the top tier of DPS. But either way, guys, I'll catch you next time in the wasteland.
Through the dark, moonlight's dimly shining, a shadow creeping. Feel your hearts entwining, a twisted mind, seeking prey to devour.